So we are live.
Okay.
Let's wait a few more minutes for people to join in.
Sure.
So shall we start?
Yeah, sure. So I don't see the, okay, I will not be able to see the participants, right? I mean, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So do you want to start with the intro or,
Yeah. So hi guys. Good evening. So I am Akanksha. I work as a business executive at Zubi. So I'm glad that you all have joined our very first masterclass series. So our very first masterclass is conducted by Mr. Sudin Baraokar. So yes. So Mr. Baraokar has is an emerging tech innovator where he served as head of innovation and senior technology roles in SBI, Barclays, and IBM and General Electric. It's great to have you, sir, with us.
sure. So a
Yeah.
warm welcome to you all. I'm Sudin Baraokar. Let me share my screen. Do I have to stop the camera to share the screen or is it?
No, no, you can continue with it.
Okay. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me just show the full screen. Okay, so can everybody see my screen? Akanksha, is that good? Because I can't toggle. So I'll
Yes,
just
yes.
continue.
It's visible, sir.
So great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's masterclass on AI and emerging tech adoption. This is in association and partnership with Zubi.io. I'm Sudhin Baraokar. I'm a global IT and innovation advisor coming from the world of State Bank of India, Barclays, IBM, and GE. I'm also founder of AIOTF.io and bankchainasset.com. Today I'll talk about AI and emerging tech adoption, a very exciting topic. Look at the emergence of emerging tech. Look at how AI is now getting everywhere into everything, right from at the CXO level to board members to managers to new joinees. Talk about some of the technologies, also the underlying go digital strategy, which is driving the emerging tech. Look at about blockchain, talk about blockchain, trust as a service, automation, and some of the cost benefit analysis and ROI. Some of the newer technologies, which is really exciting, like low code, no code, application development, just a fantastic technology without which wherein you can without writing a single line of code. You can actually develop applications. My team has done that. We have developed a mobile application in about 2 days without writing a single piece of code. Then we look at IoT and robotics, which will deal with how robotics is being implemented to align with the contactless, digital, seamless world post COVID, and also talk about the journey to take the AI and emerging tech adoption quickly, wherein you need to take the shot, and also let's look at how this model has changed, wherein nowadays you can do it yourself, right? So when we look at AI and all these new emerging tech, people get a fright. They say, hey, this is only for rocket scientists. No, it's not. I have done it myself. My team has done it myself. And we have been able to serve a lot of our customers. I have done many implementations, and I can also talk about that. And then finally, we can take question and answers. What we can do is after every 15-20 minutes also, we can take question and answers so that we can keep it very interactive. So what is today's world? Today's world is rapidly changing. It's already changed. And a lot of people say that, yes, there is a lot of technology, there's a lot of transformation. And what are the risks? I would say, yes, there are risks, but the amount of opportunities are outweighing the risk by nearly 100 times. And the same goes for the jobs. Some months back, maybe before COVID, the talk was, will AI and automation replace me? Will my job go away? Let me reassure all of y'all, especially the youngsters and all you younglings, that there are 100 times more job opportunities in AI and emerging tech than in our current annuity tech. It's massive. It's not only the job opportunities, the pay scales are probably double or at times even triple. I can tell you that there are quite a few coming from large banks. There are quite a few global banks who are only recruiting AI and emerging tech specialists. They're not recruiting anybody else. And why is that so? It's because today we are in a digital, contactless, and seamless world. And then the question would be that, okay, great. This is all post COVID. We have to live with it. But then hasn't it destroyed the economy? Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. You can see that today everything, the focus is on automation, autonomic, and audited systems. And just as we are seeing that cars will drive by themselves, and that's going to happen very, very quickly. I just saw a news article where in Norway or Sweden, one of those Scandinavian countries, they have made a small ferry go autonomic. So this move is 100 times more opportunities, especially in the space of automation, especially in the space of AI to build all the intelligence, and especially in the space of audit, which is very, very important, especially in banking and finance, in governance, risk, and compliance. Now, all what I've said, somebody will say, okay, this is all talk. Show me the action, show me the results. This is the result. Gapham. This is the Gapham world. Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. These are the companies which are having the maximum amount of market capitalization, having the maximum amount of profits, and still giving the best customer experience to billions of customers. And these are the companies which are completely digital, completely automated, leveraging AI and emerging tech to the hilt. And these are the companies which have done a great job in leveraging the best of tech, as well as giving the customer what they want. So, how do you start? Is it just emerging tech? No, it's a combination. The best use of emerging tech is to align it with emerging business models. And what are these business models? Have they changed? I think there's a big change. Let's look at it. The business side of it. Today, everything has become transactional. Today, we spend less time on non transactional systems and more time on, let's say, e commerce platforms. And we use these business platforms for everything. In fact, there is no choice. These are platforms which are transactional, but not only that, they are built and operating on something called as virtual inventory. No inventory. And let's look at the data on the right side top part. And there we can see data in motion. This is massive. Previously, what's been happening is that we have been using data at rest, which in simple terms has been static data or data which is loaded overnight in a batch, and then we process it and then make sense out of it. We make BI reports, we make normal business reports, we make business intelligence reports, we make visualization, we do a whole lot of stuff. But now it's gone to data in motion. What about and this is pertaining to the digital platform data, social media data, which is happening in real time or near real time. And that's where the growth is, massive growth in that. And we have to process this data in real time, analyze it, and bring sense to it. And this data in motion can solve a lot of challenges. Let's take the example of some of the polls wherein the pollsters have got it completely wrong. It was the Brexit that was completely wrong. The pollsters got it wrong. The 2016 presidential elections in the US, where Donald Trump was not expected to even cross 100 electoral votes, and he ended up with 300. The pollsters got it wrong because they were not using data in motion. They were using kind of legacy techniques to analyze that data. Now, one would say that, okay, BI has been there for a long time, predictive analytics has been there for a long time, but this is to be seen as an opportunity because all the best of analysts and data scientists got it wrong. It means that there is a lot of opportunity for us all to improve that technique and to get this prediction right. In fact, the UK, and this is public domain data, there is a pollster association, a kind of a ethical group or a committee, which actually fines the pollsters for predicting the wrong result. I wish that could happen even in India, right? So this is a fantastic opportunity wherein we can process this data in motion, get results instantly, and do a better job at covering a large set of data or a larger set of data than what we have been doing previously, as well as reducing the time it takes for us to generate the results. In the below left, we see applications, and that's where all these digital platforms, whether it is for banking or e-commerce or logistics or agri-tech or whatever it is, that's where the applications are being built. All these applications are not just simple applications where you can access information or just do a transaction. These are platforms which you can interact with in real time. You can converse with bots, automated bots in real time, and which are covering a lot of functions and features than before. And on the right below part of the slide is called the emerging tech. Now, yes, all of emerging tech sometimes has not worked, but most of it has worked. Some of it may not have worked, but most of it has worked. Let us take the simple example of cloud. Cloud started in 2000, early 2000, and then it kind of peaked in 2012. And then there is a Gartner hype cycle curve or diagram. You can just Google it, Gartner hype cycle. So there's a bell curve. So there's emergence of technology, and then there is a peak, and then there's a decline in the curve. Now, the decline in the curve doesn't mean that the technology has declined. It means that, for example, let's take the example of cloud. It means that cloud has now become a mainstream technology. It's no longer niche. And we are witness to that. We are using private clouds, public clouds, hybrid clouds. I remember in Barclays, we used an innovation called cloud bursting, wherein we could simply use our on-prem infrastructure or servers to build private clouds on the fly. It means on the same day, if we wanted, let's say, if we were having a season, a particular week wherein a lot of transaction, let's say a lot of payment transactions would come in, then there would be a severe load on our infrastructure. Here on the fly, we could provision that infrastructure and cloud burst our on-prem workloads onto the cloud. Let's talk about these emerging business models even in more detail. What is the basis? What is the DNA of these business models? It revolves around a system called BRMS, Business Rules Management System. Now, one would say, maybe this is rocket science. Can AI use this? Or can some emerging tech use this? It is being used for a long time. It's not a new business model. It's not a new business rule management system. BRMS is not new. The other question would be about AI itself, right? Is it rocket science? Is it something new? Is it something very fanciful? Is it only for rocket scientists? No. What is the autonomic part of it? right? And one of the questions I constantly hear is that, well, AI is very new and I have to learn it. And, previously it's hardly being used. I beg to differ. The first AI system was built more than a century back. It was built in 1914 in the form of an autopilot by Honeywell. And that same autopilot is being used throughout these years for more than a century, wherein the autopilot would fly the plane without the intervention of the pilot. Okay, that's great. So is it still rocket science? No. It's just a mix of these BRMS rules. It's a mix of the algorithm and the BRMS rules, which enables that autopilot to fly the plane in a complete autonomic and automated manner. Now, the role of AI as well as BRMS is covering a lot of many use cases. And it's only started. It's not the end of it. So it's a very good opportunity for us to align our thinking and our design and strategy and development and use emerging tech for emerging business models. Okay. How does this help? Helps in completely automated systems, autonomic systems, audited systems, completely virtual, no inventory, virtual inventory, which has its many advantages, because if it's virtual inventory, then you're saving a lot of costs. Refactorization. Can we, for example, look at this post-COVID world and see what refactorization can we do for assets? Suppose there is a building lying around. Can a builder, and it's not sold, that builder has not got any buyers, can that building be refactored to become a hospital or a temporary kind of a facility? Yes, it can. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. Mix of AI, automation, emerging tech, BRMS, and you're done. Can it be done fast? Agile? In an agile way? Yes, absolutely, it can be done in a fast and agile way. Okay. So one of the better uses or best uses of emerging tech is AI. There are others. There is, of course, blockchain. There is, a lot of other technologies. But to really create a big disruption, to really drastically change the model, to do the transformation, AI is the best bet. And the reason for it is that I would call it the merger of big data, IoT, cloud, the growth of data, the explosion of data, as well as using data science, has created this huge, massive AI ecosystem. It's massive today. Let's take the top circle in green, machine learning. We have used machine learning in the State Bank, wherein we completely automated our recruitment process for a wealth manager for some 40 wealth manager positions in the bank. We got something like 1,20,000 or 120,000 applications. Now it's not possible to manually process those applications. It's just not possible. Even if we put hundreds of people, well, we can do it. We are a big bank. We have more than 2,70,000 people. Even if we were to do it, it would still be a lot of errors, quality checks, and besides that, a lot of bias. Somebody will say, hey, this is a guy I know and he's the best. Therefore, he should be selected. He or she should be selected. A lot of bias comes in. That bias can be eliminated by machine learning, deep learning, building algorithms, using the statistical techniques or mathematical techniques like clustering, regression, classification. So we built up a machine learning engine which scanned all the resumes and gave us a confidence level index, which is nothing else but ranking all the resumes to help us make a better decision. So this is something really fantastic, truly remarkable. The entire process took us probably not more than 2 days. The reason it took us 2 days is because we did it for the first time. So we had to build the model, we had to digitize all those resumes, make sure that's in one common format, and then process it, and then analyze it, and then decide who is the best candidate. If we were to do this manually, it would have taken us at least 4 to 6 months to figure all this out, not taking into account the quality deficit or even the bias that would typically creep in. So we've already taken the shot. We've already used machine learning for a very good use case and have already implemented this. So we're not just talking about machine learning or AI. We are actually implemented all this. Let's take a look at the other one, the one in orange or light orange. I don't know what that color is, but that's the computer vision one on the lower left. This was a fantastic use case where we use the computer vision to do a customer feedback using facial expression in real time. Fantastic use case. Why? Because typically, if we, first of all, very few of us now go physically to a branch, but whoever does that, and if the customer is asked to fill up a manual form, a feedback form, we can bet each other that none of us will ever do that, right? None of us will ever fill that up, right? Too cumbersome and too boring, and even if we were to fill it up and give it to the bank rep or the manager or whoever it is, we don't know what is the end use of it, right? We don't know whether that feedback will be actually relayed back to the stakeholders or to the senior management or to the CXOs. We don't even know that. So we put up 2 cameras in our CBD branch. CBD is a central banking district. It's a place in New Bombay where we have our global IT center. New Bombay is about probably 30 kilometers from Bombay. And we set up these cameras, and instantly, as in the when the customer would come in and exit, the facial expression would be mapped, and whether the customer is happy or sad, that decision would be relayed to the bank teller in real time. So in a matter of a few seconds, we could get a customer feedback using AI, using computer vision, using facial expression technology. No contact, no manual forms, completely automated, completely unbiased. And this was a very successful implementation. We also, in fact, this was a part of a implementation where we had a hackathon. We launched 3 hackathons in 2017 for deep tech, for emerging tech, wherein in fact one of our State Bank of India teams itself won this award and implemented this project. The next is on the right bottom is the language processing. And this is where we successfully have been using bots. We used the bots for our internet banking as well as for our SBI website. A lot of the banks are using conversational bots. In fact, now they're moving from conversational bots to even transactional bots. A big transformation. By using this language processing technology, we could reduce the workload onto our contact center. And by doing that, we could give our contact center reps probably more valuable or more highly skilled kind of jobs and replace all this interaction by bots. That's a fantastic experience. You can ask whatever question you want to. The bot will instantly reply. We have had a fairly, I must confess that initially we didn't have that much of a very good accuracy in terms of, how relevant the information was from the bot. But over a period of time, we built up a better confidence index and we could get nearly about 98 to 99% confidence levels in terms of how well and how relevant the bot was responding to our customer queries. So let me pause a bit for a minute or two and then take up any questions. Let's keep this interactive so that I can take up some quick questions.
So, guys, do you have any questions? Please comment it down in the comment box.
Okay, it says slides are not moving. I can see that they're moving. So was that a problem?
Yeah, it was before that it was not moving. Now they are. It's
Okay,
good to go,
thank
sir.
you.
Yeah. So I don't see any questions. So
Okay,
let's continue. Yeah.
sure. Okay, so uh, okay, great. So I assume that everybody can see my screen. Okay. I've moved to the next slide, making your organization AI. Can everybody see that?
No, sir. Actually, your screen is coming black.
Hmm. Okay. So,
Yeah, now it's visible.
okay. I can either also share the window if that's a problem. But now it's visible, right? As I said.
So your voice is also not clear.
Okay. Better now?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Okay. Which brings us to what is happening in today's world. What are organizations doing? What are employees in the organization thinking about? What is the big question? It's all about making your organization AI, artificial intelligence, and ET, emerging technology first. This is a massive change, massive change, massive change. This is probably one of the biggest transformations we have seen since the days of the Industrial Revolution. We haven't seen this kind of transformation taking place. And why is that so? Why is this demand for emerging tech and deep tech now suddenly so become so prominent, become such a big focus? The reason is that we have to understand that everything is moving from a domain expertise to a deep tech expertise. And it's not just in banking, it's happening across in all sectors. It's happening across in manufacturing, it's happening across in healthcare, pharma, services, retail. And one of the biggest changes that is happening and that's being driven is the fact that the use of AI and emerging tech has now become mainstream, a much larger coverage, as well as this technology is no longer rocket science. It's becoming DIY, it's becoming do it yourself. A big, massive change.
Pardon me, sir, your screen is blank. Please.
Okay. So let me stop sharing and then let me look at whether I can share the screen again with the okay share screen. Fine. And what I can do is I can share my entire screen and then let's try it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, can everybody see my screen now?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So let me. Okay. So to continue, it is all about making yourself and your organization AI and ET first. Now, this is not just a coverage or a question or just a mention on the technology teams or the technology departments. It's now happening everywhere. It's even happening in the board, in the management, even for the CXOs, for the CEO. It is becoming that transformatory and that much disruptive. Let's take a look at, yes, we have seen the use of this technology in banking and other sectors. Fairly successful, well implemented. It's all there in the public domain. We're not hiding anything. We've actually done it. But now this is also moving into the boardroom. It's also moving into the management. It's moving into accounting. Can accounting systems also use AI? Can an audit be done better? Can more compliance come in? Can AI be used for ethics? That's a massive scope. And all this is possible because of the advances that we have seen in data, massive growth of data at rest, data in motion, structured data, unstructured data, social media data, high velocity data. And we have also seen the transformation of statistics into the data science world. Everything now is becoming linked to data science. And the growth of algorithms. When we do even this virtual inventory optimization, or we do optimization for various things, even let's say payments, we have seen that these algorithms are being used in a very, very big way. And then is the analytics, especially predictive analytics. Yes, I must confess, some of the polls have got it wrong. We thought that predictive analytics was very accurate. But I see, as I said before, in a different way. It means that there's a lot of more scope to get this modeling right. Even the 2020 elections, which just happened, the US elections, a lot of the pollsters predicted that it would be a blue wave meaning that the Democrats would sweep the presidential as well as the House as well as the Senate. It wasn't that much. It wasn't, yes, it was a wave, but wasn't that much. And then is the visualization, wherein we are seeing a lot of increased use of augmented reality, virtual reality, and now the latest technology called mixed reality. Is there an acceleration of this post COVID? A massive acceleration. In fact, a very good technology, a set of technologies that can be used if you also decide to engage into the emerging tech world. A very good technology in play, especially to confront with a contactless, digital, and a seamless world. Okay. Just to check that my screen is visible and I can be heard. If somebody could just confirm that. Thank you.
Yes, you are audible and your screen is visible.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then let's look at what is driving this, right? What are the latest advances in technologies from a business standpoint? Right? We've been talking about the technology, right? Let's look at what are these emerging business models actually bringing. Why is it so happening? API monetization, fantastic. Can our banking APIs be aligned with what we call as industry open standards or banking open standards? In fact, banks is one of the best ways to really collaborate. We have been collaborating with other banks. In 2017, I formed a bank chain alliance. I got 40 plus global banks and technology vendors or partners together, very big banks. And we all said that let's kind of come together. Let's pool our resources. Let's build up these competencies for emerging tech, for blockchain, for automation, for AI. Let's also get in the API kind of monetization piece of it, wherein a bank can simply expose an API, or the customer of a bank can use an API, and whether it is doing a transaction on the payment network, or whether doing a share transaction, or whether doing a digital payment transaction, that API simply can be used and the transaction can be done. And then we have the system of record and engagement, what we call as a core banking. So in 2018, in fact, we benchmarked our SBI core banking systems. We benchmarked our SBI core banking systems at 24,000 TPS, transactions per second, and approximately 1.5 billion transactions in a day. This is the most complex, scalable, modern, advanced core banking system in the world to serve our 480 million customers and more than 670 million accounts. All made in India by Indian technologists using the latest and greatest of emerging tech. So we can see that if we can leverage this digital infrastructure, which we have so much built over the years, we can do a dramatic change in our business model itself. I remember in Barclays, we started our digital journey in 2009, 2010. And we started with our establishing our, first of all, modernizing our core banking and our application modernization. Then we built up the digital beachheads. We built up our Barclays internet banking, Barclays tablet banking, Barclays mobile banking, nearly a decade back. At that time, we were told, what is the use of this? Can it, will it work? Will the customer use it? In 2017, we launched our SBI Yono, that is a complete mobile bank in a box application. You only need one for our customers. At that time, we also asked the question, what is the use of this? Today, whatever we invested in our technologies work perfectly well. Is that true? Yes, it is true. Sitting at home We can do all the transactions. We don't have to go to a branch. We don't have to go to an ATM machine. Everything works. Everything works perfectly. Billions of transactions are happening on the UPI payment system. The entire moratorium request was a simple web service exposed by the bank sent to the customer. The customer would just simply click on the link, check what loans he wants to avail the moratorium. It could be the credit card, or it could be a personal loan, or it could be a consumer loan, or it could be a small corporate loan for SME loan, whatever it is, or could be an overdraft. In 3-4 minutes, the customer would simply click on that link, check which all loans he wants to avail the moratorium, just press submit. That request would go to the bank, and the bank would then confirm that yes, we have accepted your request. You have been a good loyal customer of the bank. You have no dues. Your There has been a good conduct of your account, and instantly they would waive off that EMI payment. Not waive off, I would say give the moratorium for that. Moratorium is not a waiver, so you have to pay the EMI, but they would simply switch that EMI payment by 2 months or 3 months. Fantastic. All sitting at home. So we were right all along. It is technology that is sitting at home. We can run our complex core banking systems. We can do payments. We can do transactions. A lot of fintech we have used to further improve our customer experience, to further use blockchain technologies for use in smart contract, use AI for our conversational experience, transactional experience, use automation for a lot many things. So it means that whatever we have done has helped the community at large, has also made sure that all our technology investments using all the hype tech and emerging tech has really helped us. Okay. Just to check that I'm audible and you all can all see my screen.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, great. Sorry, I can't toggle because so I can't see the any comments or any feedback. Sorry about that. So great. So let me again take a quick pause and ask for any questions. It's I think I hope a lot of the participants have not fallen off their chairs, but that's a good thing. If you all have not understood a word of what I've said, it's a good thing, because then you all will really jump into the bandwagon and start your AI and emerging tech journey even faster. So let me just pause for a minute or two and take up any questions.
Guys, please post down your questions.
Okay, I don't see any.
So no questions. Yeah,
Okay,
we don't
so
have any questions.
excited to hear you. Very nice, needful information. Very good. So great. So good amount of enthusiasm, I guess. Okay, let's
Yes.
move on. It's good. Great. What are some of the emerging business models again when we look at how to use the emerging tech for emerging business models? Fintech fairly in much in use, right? I mean, yes, banks are the first ones to really take a shot at using fintech because now everything is going virtual, right? I mean, none of us are even. I don't think I don't remember the last time I've gone to a physical branch. I do remember last year I went to one or two branches, but nowadays we don't have to do that. But I just went to just make sure that the bank is there and the branch is there to make sure that everything is okay. And I didn't do any transaction. But you can see that fintech has completely revolutionized. Technologies like fintech have completely made the entire finance decentralized. Using blockchain, we can use something as trust as a service, smart contracts, very successful. And then there are some even newer ones like leg tech, legal tech. It's a massive scope. Correct. Look at some of our judicial ecosystems, right, or legal ecosystems. Very complex, very costly. Nobody even understands the rules, right? Very delayed decisions, right? Some decisions are done maybe 10 years or 20 years. By the time we don't even know whether that litigant is alive or not, right? So here is where we can use a lot of these technologies to not only improve the process, but also to build up better governance, risk, and compliance. And that's where ethical AI comes in. Can ethical AI be used for better governance, risk, and compliance? Yes, it can. I can tell you that in the UK, they have made these ethical AI hubs because one of the reasons that UK has taken the lead is that a lot of the accounting and management firms originate from UK. And this ethical AI is going to be used across everywhere. In the US, we already have Supreme Court judges and other judges, even state Supreme Court. They have a two-tier approach. They have a federal system, a Supreme Court, which is the final authority, and then they also have a state Supreme Court, which is equivalent to our High Court. The judges are using the AI, ethical AI, to make sure or to scan previous judgments and also to make sure that what judgment they are giving is actually based on the principles of law and that there is no bias and that there is no circumvention of the law. The next bullet is regulatory tech or reg tech. This is massive. This is the biggest investment being done by not only commercial banks but also by central banks. And very relevant to our post COVID period. This regulatory tech will help establish better financial systems in the future, not only for emerging markets like India, but also for developed world. Now there's talk about, we already have financial inclusion or the Jandan accounts, right? Which makes it better use of RegTech because now we know that whatever money transferred to these Jandan accounts or financial inclusion accounts is actually reaching the needy public, right? Because like India is one of the very few countries. I mean, there are even other countries, but wherein the only the rich people get the loan, right? People who don't need the money get the money, and people who actually need the money don't get the money. Right? It's fantastic. Why has it happened like this? Can we use reg tech? Can we use ethical AI? Can we use financial tech, fintech to make sure that the needy people get the money? That's why all banks in India, under the RBI directive, we set up Jan Dhan accounts. We have nearly 500 million Jan Dhan accounts. These are accounts which are having either zero balance or maybe balances of 10,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees, right? Mostly these are in semi-urban and rural areas, which has been largely been unbanked. Now the government can immediately, if the people need money, they can immediately use the Jan Dhan accounts to reach out to the people, do a DBT, a direct benefit transfer, and give money to the people, especially in such challenging and trying environments. And we have seen the plight of migrant labor. We have seen the problems that that the needy people have had to face. And yet we have survived all this. It's because now we can quickly, using all this tech, we can quickly reach out to the people. Previously, it was not possible. Previously, it was just absolutely not possible. And that's the reason why the direct benefit transfer was done in a manual way, and we did not even know how much leakage was there, how much fraud was there. Now it is everything is online, everything is digital. Then there is procurement tech. Again, a very big benefit, especially where, let's say, for example, in Barclays, we purchase nearly $2 to $3 billion of IT services, hardware, software, applications, maintenance, support, license. In SBI, we probably spend more than $1 billion. Can AI and automation make sure that the procurement is done properly? There is no bias. There is no corruption. Definitely it can. And the final is the sandbox tech. Sandbox tech. Okay, what is a sandbox? A sandbox is I would say it could be either a virtual server or a physical server, typically hosted by the bank or hosted by the central bank, wherein fintechs or entrepreneurs or startups can actually test their solution before the bank deploys it. Why is this important? Because banking is a mission critical service. We have to make sure that the technology actually works. Because if the technology doesn't work, then it'll be an absolute catastrophe. How do we serve billions of our accounts and how do we serve billions of our customers? It'll be an absolute catastrophe. So therefore, sandboxes are being used so that all this latest and greatest of emerging tech and automation can be used, can be tested, validated, approved by the regulators and authorities, and then subsequently implemented. So I must confess that in India, we are a little behind the curve on the sandbox technology. We still have to make a lot of efforts to reach there. But that doesn't stop the progress around the world. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, that is their central bank, has done great work on this. They have built up these sandboxes. They have exposed APIs so that fintechs and startups can test the solution along with in consortium with banks. Even the UK regulator has done a very good job, as well as even some of the Middle East countries like the UAE and the Dubai regulator also have done a very good job in getting up these sandboxes so that startups and fintechs can check their solutions and then before implementing, make sure that the solution works, make sure that it follows the scalability standards, the transactions per second, make sure that it is secure, and make sure that all these mission critical services run, which is absolutely important for all citizens of the world. So again, ethical AI coming in a very, very big way. Confidence and ranking models, again, use of AI, data science, algorithms to make sure that we get a proper, a better informed decision based on data and data science, not based on intuition or on bias, but based on data and data science. IoT, here we have seen a lot of growth of the machine data. So it's not just human to machine interaction or machine to human interaction or data. There's a lot of growth now in machine to machine interaction. There's a lot of telemetry involved. Telemetry is nothing but the data from the device is captured, analyzed. This has been already successfully used in aircraft engines, wherein wherein the moment the flight takes off, I mean, right from the from the takeoff to the landing, all the engine, the data is taken as a telemetry from the engine to make sure that the engine is performing as per the desired SLAs, and also make sure that this data can also be used in effect to make sure that that we have this mean time between failures, or to make sure that the maintenance of those engines is also done better, so that there is no catastrophic failure by these engines. RPA is robotic process automation. In simple terms, it means that all these manual tasks, and we still have a lot of manual tasks. I must confess, even in banks, we have a lot of manual tasks. We have our own Excel sheets, we have our own way of doing things. That is all replaced by the robotic process automation. A bot will do it for you. What is the benefit? We can work in shifts, or we can work for probably 7-8 hours in a day. A bot works 24 by 7 by 365. And a bot can scan and process massive amounts of data, something that humans can't do. IPA is intelligent processing automation. It is RPA, but using AI, using data science. And then final is blockchain. Now, there is a lot of questions around blockchain saying that, yes, we've heard a lot about this blockchain, but haven't seen any implementation. So blockchain is already successful. We in State Bank in 2017, 2018, we built up smart contracts. The entire NDA, non-disclosure agreement that we used to do by a manual method, in the sense that we used to, non-disclosure agreement we used to have between the bank and the startup, right? We had a startup engagement process program, and everybody had to sign, both the parties had to sign an NDA, so that whatever pilot or whatever prototype the startup works on is we honor the IP of that, and at the same time, whatever use cases and whatever knowledge or IP we give to the startup is also honored by that particular startup, right? So the entire process of non-disclosure agreement, which probably takes about a week or two, by the time we email the form, then we check to see whether the startup has received the form. Then the startup will kind of print it out and then sign and then scan it and then send it back to us, right? 1 to 2 weeks. We reduce this 1 to 2 weeks into under 15 minutes. We just simply use the blockchain Hyperledger. We put it on we uploaded the NDA onto the cloud platform. The startup would simply come to the cloud platform, put in a digital signature, and push back that contract onto the cloud. We would get a notification, and then we would put our signature, our digital signature. And this was a process which reduced the previous time from 1 to 2 weeks to simply 15 minutes. So all these technologies are not myths or fancy or hype tech. They are actually in use. And judging from the cost benefit analysis, as we call it CBA, as well as return on investment, we have, at least I've experienced that probably we have saved about 30 to 40% costs and 70 to 80% reduction in process time using these technologies. So what has further changed? What is this digital transformation and why is that changed at such a fast rate? And that brings us to something called, it's the fourth bullet point in the screen, in the slide. It's called VUCA world. What is VUCA? VUCA is a term given by one of the American commanding generals in Afghanistan way back in early 2000 during the war out there, the Afghanistan war, wherein he was asked by one of the journalists at that time to describe how the situation in Afghanistan was, right? And this is what he told the journalist, that it's a VUCA world. It's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And this is the same VUCA world we are living in day after day. Things are extremely volatile. We don't know when the next lockdown will happen. They are uncertain. It's uncertain. We don't know what will happen at times to our manufacturing industry or to the vaccines, whether we're going to get vaccines or not. Complex. It's absolutely complex. We don't know now which sector is going to do well. We don't know how a lot of citizens are going to survive. I mean, it's great that a lot of us have all survived this and we will survive. But it is complex and ambiguous, right? A lot of these lockdown rules, at least now they're quite clear, but previously they were very ambiguous. Everybody, it was well notified and, it was alerted to everyone, but there was a lot of ambiguity, not well understood. Can we use the same VUCA world? Can we leverage emerging technology? Can we use it for the emerging business models? And that is what we are doing. That is why we are using emerging tech. So as to make the world less volatile, more certain, more predictable, less complex, and so that the common man, and less ambiguous, so that the common man also understands what is happening. And it's happened. A lot of good things have happened. Right? Moratorium was passed on so that people who were affected by the lockdown had no revenue, had no earnings. And how would they pay the EMI? Not possible. So using the tech, using the digital services, using core banking, using automation, we could get all these moratorium services available and enabled for the customers. Right? So the software development engineering has completely changed. It has become very agile. And the reason we have taken this VUCA world very seriously and the emerging tech very seriously, because we have to understand that everything has a platform shelf life. Even core banking has a platform shelf life. right? We are now building core banking on the cloud. We are now building digital platforms, core banking, right? Which can address emerging use cases or use cases which are very critical to society. Like, for example, the financial inclusion. Now people are talking about universal basic income. And this is not only for emerging markets like India or BRICS. Universal basic income is now being talked about in the US, which is a far more developed and much more advanced market. Even they're talking about universal basic income, because such events, maybe, a lot of people say that, this is a one in a century or one in a lifetime event, but it can happen again. Economies can be destroyed. Let's take our India example, right? In the first quarter, right, when the every all these lockdowns were announced, we had minus 24% GDP. For such a big country like India, which was growing at 5% at its peak, maybe a few more years back at probably 8%, sees a economic destruction of minus 24% of the GDP. How will the government get the resources? How will they get the money to help the needy people? Right? So this is where the VUCA world is being taken very seriously. And this is where emerging tech and AI and automation can be used best to make it a more predictable world, a more understandable world, and a world which is less volatile. So there are also challenges that we have faced. So, for example, a lot of the challenges we typically run the organization in two ways. Let me take the banking example. We run the bank where we run all our mission critical services, and then on the transformation side, we change the bank where we use all these disruptive, transformative, emerging technologies to completely change the bank. And there are challenges, right? There would be, how to integrate and interoperate between the change and run, how to build up the skill sets of people who can then work on automation, AI, blockchain, how to also make the entire ecosystem sustainable. Very important. And we have done this. Look at the payments example, right? We are from a physical manual payment system. Now we have gone to completely digital. Was that a good decision to get all this digital infrastructure in? Yes. Look at the COVID world, right? We cannot, we are forced to make sure that whatever we invested on is sustainable and that people are using it. So there are a lot of technologies that we are using. A lot of these have been emerging technologies. BRMS is, of course, business rule management system. CEP is complex event processing. AI we've already spoken about. Coming up is low code, no code, where without writing a single piece of code, you can build up applications. I have tried it myself, and I can tell you that I built a mobile application in less than 2 days. And then, of course, we have the cloud, we have the serverless, we have the containerization technology, which in simple terms means that the infrastructure is completely virtual and is managed by itself, right? So we can focus on the development of the application, whereas the infrastructure can be virtualized or containerized, so that we can spend more time on managing our application and less time on the infrastructure. Then we have the hyper-converged infrastructure, which is coming up in a very big way. In layman's language, it means that the compute, network, and storage resources are combined, and that is so that we don't have to buy a separate compute server, a separate storage server, and a separate network server, which we have been doing. We can just buy one hyper-converged infrastructure server, which can do all the work for us. And then, of course, quantum computing, still in infancy, right now in pilot and test mode, but that will again completely change the way we have been processing data, the way we have been building applications, the way we have been looking at how to use AI and automation. It'll again completely change the entire model. So here it's also now it's not just the emerging tech and AI, which is the purview or the domain of tech teams. I think it's now across all the organization, right? One of the things that needs to be done is whether you're in a startup or a large organization, you must have a tech advisory and the CEO, the chief executive officer, and the chief information officer. In terms of startups, it could be just a two-man show, but they have to drive it. They have to make sure that the tech is the focus, not just domain expertise. Yes, domain expertise is there, is required, but the focus is now completely deep tech, right? Do quick wins. One of the best ways to do quick wins on emerging tech is to take the automation examples. RPA, IPA can easily be implemented, and the return can be shown to stakeholders. Especially this is important in large companies, wherein we have to show quick wins to our shareholders and stakeholders and make sure that we are on the right track. A lot of questions could be around, is this emerging tech good for security? From my experience, emerging tech has increased our governance, risk and compliance, has also reduced the cost of security, and also has made security the prime focus and made it, and our systems are today much more secure. Key learnings, and this was what I was told in State Bank of India, a government bank, where the stakeholders told me, doesn't matter if you fail on these emerging tech, but fail fast so that we can go on to the next technology and evaluate and test it out there and deploy it. Understand the code doesn't mean that you have to understand the code, whether you're an engineer or non-engineer. It doesn't mean that you have to understand the code, but just go over it, just have a basic understanding of, so that you don't get fooled by anybody, right? You must know that it's not very difficult to understand code. It's not very difficult to understand what is compute, network, storage. In fact, nowadays with newer technologies like LCNC, it's even easier. Take the shot. Don't become a PPT or a video company or a PPT or a video startup. Take the shot, leverage these technologies, and you will be well on your way on your AI and emerging tech journey. Be patient with hype tech. Cloud took a long time, but today we can see the success. Even blockchain, there's a lot of impatience, saying that will blockchain finally cure itself and you do something for me? Yes, it will, right? You have to be patient with it. So I think that's about me. I can be contacted on LinkedIn. There's only one Sudin Baraokar as of now, and that's my number. You may WhatsApp me, and that's my email, sudbaro@gmail.com. The best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn, and if you all have any questions, you all can definitely get in touch with me. There's also the Zubi team, which you can connect with, and I can through them also answer your questions. So I invite any other questions, and I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all the very best with your emerging tech and AI journeys. And I'm sure that all of you all will succeed. This is a great opportunity for all of us to make a mark, and I'm sure that all of us will be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for
Thank
this
you, sir,
amazing
for this
masterclass.
amazing masterclass.
So
So
we do have one
we do
question.
have one question.
It's from Prince
It's
Raj.
from Prince Raj.
What about the
What
potential to
about the
pursue
potential
career
to
in field
pursue
of
career in field of
blockchain?
blockchain?
Yeah, so I think blockchain is extremely important. I think If you want to pursue a career, yes, you can. I think the important thing to note is that find out what are the successful use cases. From my experience and implementation coming from big banks, and also nowadays also working with startups and even having my own startup in the space, I think something like smart contracts is something that has been a very big success as of now. So yes, it is an exciting technology, although it will take some time, because by the time we shift from our existing technologies to technology like blockchain, we have to make sure that it's mission critical. We have to make sure that it's working as per whatever SLAs we have. So it will take some time, but I would suggest that always have a mix of technologies to work on. Probably automation is the fastest way to start your journey. Something like RPA, IPA is do it yourself. You can do it yourself, so it's not an issue at all. Very quick way to do it. A lot of the AI technologies, a lot of the data science, a lot of the BI, a lot of the predictive analytics is now all do it yourself. You can just look at a lot of resources are there. Some of the Gapham World resources are there that you can make use of. It's all there in the public domain. So a lot of these AI technologies as well as automation technologies are do it yourself. So I would suggest that instead of just focusing on one technology and trying to I would say pick up two or three. I would say pick up something in automation, pick up something in AI. Yes, also go ahead with blockchain, so that all these three technologies can also be used in conjunction and also separately. Sometimes these technologies do take time. They do evolve. They do come to a maturity level. So it's sometimes good to just take pick up two or three of these technologies and take your journey ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
I
sir.
hope that
I
clears
hope
his
that
question.
clears his question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
sir.
for
Thank you so
your
much for
guidance
your
and
guidance and
expertise, knowledge.
expertise, knowledge.
Sure. So thank you, Akanksha. Thank you, Zubi team. And if there are any further questions or any kind of advice you'll want, feel free to reach me on LinkedIn. And again, wish you all the very best with your emerging technology journey. And may the force be with all of us. I have myself implemented it. It's all in the public domain. So it's no longer rocket science or a myth or some fancy storytelling. It's actually technology that works. And we can see in today's world which are the successful leaders and successful companies which are doing great stuff around. And you can easily be one of them. And I wish you all the very best again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.